Okay, let's talk about trust. But what if I told you it wasn't just a feeling, but an actual currency? Today, we are diving into a business model that claims to do exactly that, the OPS trust economy. It's a whole system designed to turn belief into a measurable, profitable asset for creators. So let's break down how it all works.
This quote right here really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? In our digital world, every single click, every view, every little interaction, it's like a silent vote of confidence. Your audience is constantly, subconsciously asking themselves, do I trust this? And their answer? Well, that pretty much dictates your success.
So what's the big problem this whole model is trying to solve? A massive trust deficit. For decades, creative industries have been run by gatekeepers. You know the drill. Opaque systems, mysterious metrics, they leave creators totally in the dark about what actually moves the needle.
And here's the difference in a nutshell. On one side, you've got that old model, just full of middlemen, mystery, and a whole lot of locked gates. But on the other side, you've got the OSPS model, which says it's built on a foundation of transparent data and direct accountability. The whole goal is to move from just guessing to actually verifying. And this is the core idea, the whole ballgame. Trust isn't just some soft skill or a nice to have. In this economy, it's the main currency. It's an asset that, if you manage it right, can become more valuable than anything else.
Okay, so how does this work in practice, right? How do you actually turn an emotion into tangible results? Well, the model lays out this four-step process called the OPS trust cycle, and it's all designed to build unstoppable momentum.
It all kicks off with building trust. That trust then lets you have a completely transparent transaction, where the value exchange is crystal clear to everybody involved. And a successful transaction? That generates testimony, powerful social proof, which in turn builds even more trust. You see, it's this perfect self-reinforcing loop. And the result of that cycle is something the model calls trust velocity. Now, this isn't just about having trust, it's about the speed at which that trust spreads. The higher your velocity, the faster your community and your income grows. It's a way to finally make belief measurable.
And of course, if you can measure something, you can manage it. So if trust really is an asset, how do you quantify it? This is where the model gets super specific, breaking it all down with some key data points. It really boils down to three core metrics. First up, retention loyalty. Pretty simple, how many people are sticking around. Second, referral integrity. What's the quality of the recommendations coming from your network? And third, transparency engagement. How do people react when you're totally open and share your data?
And here's where it gets really tangible. According to the source material, creators who totally excel in that third metric, transparency engagement, earn up to 43% more in the long run. And why is that? Because that level of openness builds way deeper partner buy-in and a much higher customer lifetime value. It's pretty hard proof that in this model, honesty really does pay.
And that's the bottom line, isn't it? This quote just drives home the core business argument of the entire model. It reframes trust from being this soft, emotional concept into a hard economic driver of success. Now, let's look at the philosophy behind all these numbers. The model calls it the new trust contract, and it wades right into a pretty controversial topic for creators, amplification.
Think about it for a second. When you promote your own work, are you manipulating the system, or are you just trying to get heard when the traditional gatekeepers basically control all the microphones? This question is absolutely central to the model's ethical argument.
And here's the model's answer. It argues that for creators with genuinely high-quality work, amplifying your reach isn't cheating. No, it's a correction against a system that is already biased to keep you out.
So the really crucial takeaway here is that transparency isn't a vulnerability, it's empowerment. In this model, sharing your stats and being open about your process becomes your shield. It's literally how you prove your value and build an unbreakable bond with your audience.
To keep the whole system honest, the model uses something it calls fairness indexing. Think of it as an ethical counterweight. It's a real-time metric that ensures fairness. Put simply, if your referral generates 10% of the sales, you get 10% of the commission. No exceptions, no opaque formulas. It's clean.
So what's the end game here? The model's vision goes way beyond just making a living. It's about converting all that hard-earned trust into lasting equity, building a true legacy.
This leads to a really fascinating concept they call the loyalty engine. This frames loyalty not as some emotional choice, but as a completely rational one.
When partners see that effort equals reward, predictably and transparently, loyalty stops being just a feeling and becomes almost a reflex.
And these are the promised outcomes. For creators, this means predictable income, which is incredibly rare. It means high partner retention, because the system is built on fairness. And it means you're building a transparent legacy, a permanent trust ledger that proves your value over time.
To wrap things up, the source leaves us with this final thought, which kind of reframes the entire concept. Trust isn't just another marketing strategy, it's a moral technology, a system that has a code of ethics built right into its DNA.
And that brings us to the ultimate question this model poses. It's a direct challenge to that old attention at all costs mindset. It suggests that maybe the future doesn't belong to the loudest voice in the room, but to the most trusted. The creators who build on a foundation of verifiable trust might just be the ones who build something that truly lasts.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going a little deeper than usual, maybe. We're taking the standard metrics views, clicks, all that, and looking underneath.
We're digging into a fascinating set of sources about what Oxford Private Studios OPS calls the OPS trust economy.
Right, and this idea of creative capitalism's new contract. Sounds pretty grand.
It is, but the core idea is actually quite focused. They work mainly with creators, independent music, digital media, and they argue pretty convincingly, I think, that if data is the bloodstream of their system, then trust is the oxygen. Without it, the whole thing just collapses, especially transparent trust.
I like that metaphor, oxygen.
Yeah.
So we're basically trying to figure out how they take things like transparency, fairness, loyalty, which usually sound like, soft PR words, and engineer them into the actual mechanics of the platform. The big question is, how do you turn trust, that sort of fuzzy feeling, into something you can measure, something profitable even?
Well, OPS approaches it almost like a science experiment. Every single interaction you have online, a click, pausing a video, even just hovering your mouse, they treat that as a tiny decision point.
A decision about what?
About trust. Do I trust this creator, this recommendation, this platform? And the answer to that tiny question, repeated millions of times, is what drives conversion. It's what turns someone just looking into someone buying.
Okay, so trust isn't just a nice to have, it's the gatekeeper,
Yeah.
right? The point of sale. But how do you systematize that? Belief seems so fluid.
They've tried to formalize it with something they call the OPS trust cycle.
A cycle. Okay, break that down.
It's a loop designed to keep reinforcing itself. It starts with trust, that initial belief. To get that trust, you need transparency, especially about the partnerships involved.
Makes sense.
See what's going on?
Exactly. That transparency makes the transaction feel smoother, less risky, and then crucially, a good transaction immediately generates testimony, like reviews, social proof, that kind of thing.
And that testimony feeds right back into building trust for the next person. It's a velocity loop.
Okay, testimony is the fuel. And they measure this with trust velocity. That term really jumps out. What does that actually mean? How fast confidence spreads?
Yes, partly. It's the speed at which trust propagates through the network. But more strategically, it measures how quickly perceived risk goes down. Think about normally, you're skeptical, right? Takes time to decide.
Sure. You hesitate.
But if everything's transparent, that hesitation, that friction, it shrinks. The time you spend worrying, is this legit, gets shorter. So the velocity increases.
Faster trust means faster sales, maybe lower cost to get a customer too. Okay, but doesn't that seem open to manipulation? If I'm a partner, can I just fake my testimony, juice my stats to boost my velocity?
Good question. That's where the auditable part comes in. The transparency has to cut both ways. The system rewards consistency and openness. But if you try to game it, the check is the data trail itself. The consumer or other partners can basically audit your claims against your public stats in real time. If they don't match, your velocity tanks immediately.
Got it. So it's not some hidden algorithm punishing you, it's public data calling you out. Self-correcting, kind of.
Exactly. So for an individual creator trying to build trust in the system, what do they need to do? The sources gave 3 really clear steps.
Okay, lay them on us.
They sound simple, but the discipline is key. First, be consistent. One voice, one message. Your brand promise can't suddenly change depending on where people see you.
Right, no split personality.
Second, be accountable. This is tough for some. You have to be willing to show your real stats, your performance metrics, openly. It's not optional if you want that high trust velocity. It's basically the entry fee.
Okay, consistent, accountable, and the third one was about community. Be inclusive.
Yes. Give credit where it's due. Acknowledge partners, affiliates, even key fans who boost your signal. They call it ethical visibility. It's not just about getting views for yourself. It's about building a reputation together.
Yeah. Ethical visibility. I like that. Okay, let's shift from the philosophy to the architecture. The business side. Most creative industries, music especially, are known for being opaque, right? Hidden numbers, confusing contracts.
Absolutely. Black boxes everywhere.
But OPS seems to be built on the exact opposite. This claim that transparency multiplies authority. It still feels counterintuitive compared to how things usually work.
It really is. And it's central to their whole model. Their argument is when your partners, let's say an indie musician and a promoter they work with, can actually see the real-time data, when they can audit truth, as OPS puts it,
Audit truth.
then loyalty stops being something you have to constantly negotiate or enforce. It just happens. Why? Because there's no suspicion. The transparency removes all that friction.
Could you give that specific example from the sources,
Yeah.
the open book one?
Yeah, it's pretty stark. Imagine you're an affiliate promoting someone's new song. You see every click you send, every sale that comes from your link, and you see your 20% commission pop up right there in real time, instantly. No mystery, no middlemen is the phrase they use. And because the whole system relies on this, they have to track it incredibly carefully. Their analytics focus on 3 key trust metrics. These predict how stable a partner's income will be long term.
Or the KPIs of belief. What are they measuring beyond just sales?
First is retention loyalty. Are customers coming back after that first sale? Does the creator keep them engaged? It shows the quality of the relationship, not just the initial hook.
Makes sense. Sticky customers. What's second?
Referral integrity. This looks at the honesty of the partner's marketing. Are they sending genuine fans who are likely to stick around, or just driving empty clicks with misleading hype? Quality over quantity.
Okay, retention, integrity. And the third one links directly to money. Transparency, engagement. How do you engage with transparency? What does that even mean?
Yeah, this is the really unique one. It actually tracks how often partners share their own data. Do they show their dashboard to their audience? Do they talk openly about their commission structure with other partners? It's rewarding the act of being open.
So you get points just for showing your work, essentially.
Pretty much. The more you open your books, operationally speaking, the higher your score.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The sources claim creators scoring high on this transparency engagement metric, they can earn up to 43% more long term. That's huge. Why such a big bonus for just being honest?
Well, think about the platform's risk. Creators who are super transparent tend to build incredibly loyal audiences, right? That boosts retention loyalty. Those loyal fans become predictable, stable revenue streams.
So the platform is willing to pay more because those creators are actually making the entire system more stable and predictable.
Exactly. You're rewarded for contributing to the systemic trust, not just your own bottom line. It's literally baking a profit incentive into integrity.
Okay, let's widen the lens a bit. Connect this back to the creative industries themselves. Music, digital media. You mentioned they often have gatekeepers, opaque deals, maybe tilted systems.
That's definitely the background context. And OPS explicitly positions its model as, well, an ethical fix. They talk about things like, manipulated streaming counts or unfair royalty splits in old school music deals.
Yeah, the horror stories.
Right. They argue those systems aren't just accidentally unfair. Sometimes they feel designed to disadvantage the independent creator.
So for OPS, transparency isn't just good business. It's about restoring fairness where the system already tilted the scales. It's like trying to level the playing field.
That's the philosophical underpinning, yes. If everything is auditable, out in the open, it becomes much, much harder to manipulate things unfairly. Transparency becomes a tool to make sure that if your work is good, if it does connect with people, that momentum goes to you ethically instead of getting siphoned off somewhere unseen. Liberating growth from gatekeeping bias, they call it.
Okay, but if you promise fairness, you have to prove it. You can't just say, trust us, we're fair. How do they actually measure or quantify fairness in the system?
They use another specific metric here, fairness indexing. This is designed to track, in real time, the match between the effort an affiliate puts in and the reward they get out.
How does that work in practice?
So, say you're promoting a creator's project. If the system verifies that your efforts drove 10% of the high-quality retained traffic, The Fairness Index ensures you automatically receive exactly 10% of the reward pool set aside for that promotion.
A direct proportional link. No guessing, no negotiating after the fact. If you do X% of the work, you get X% of the reward.
Exactly. One-to-one correspondence between impact and income. And this creates, well, predictability. Massive predictability.
Which leads to loyalty.
That's what the sources argue drives their loyalty engine. When partners know, without a shadow of a doubt, that their effort translates directly and fairly into reward, loyalty isn't really a choice anymore. It becomes almost a reflex.
You stay because why would you leave? You know the deal is transparently fair.
Precisely. And they claim this is why OPS has the highest affiliate and creator retention rate in their niche. People might join because they like the idea of fairness, but they stay because the system predictably delivers on it.
Okay, this is a really coherent framework. So for creators listening right now, maybe they're intrigued by this. What's the actual action plan? How do they start doing this? What's the trust playbook?
It boils down to 3 practical steps, mostly focused on how you communicate. First, be visible with value. Don't just push the final product. Show the process, the costs, the effort involved. Make it real.
Ground it in reality, not just hype.
Okay.
Step 2.
Purely analytical. Track your impact using whatever tools the platform gives you. Specifically, watch those metrics like retention, loyalty, and, if possible, transparency engagement. Know your numbers.
Got it. Monitor your own trust signals.
Yeah.
And the 3rd step.
This is crucial. Speak openly with your audience about the partnerships. If there's an affiliate link, if there's a commission structure, be upfront. Frame it honestly, maybe as a way they can support you directly.
Authenticity sells faster than hype, as they say. So be transparent, prove it with data, and communicate that openly. It ties it all together.
It really does. And it leads to their final thought, which is quite powerful. It's about legacy. The line is, money builds income, but trust builds empires.
Empires. That's ambitious. They're suggesting this isn't just about quarterly earnings, but building a whole trust ledger. Something durable.
Yeah, an auditable ecosystem that can hopefully outlast market ups and downs. The idea is that the future belongs to creators and platforms that build measurable, provable integrity, not the ones who get by through obscurity or hidden deals.
So looking back, the core contract elements are transparency, fairness, loyalty, all interconnected, all measurable.
And all driving towards this idea of trust as a kind of moral technology, something you can actually code into a system.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with a pretty challenging thought. If a system could be built where being transparently fair genuinely pays significantly more, like that 43% figure, and if the winning platforms are the ones removing gatekeepers, what changes do you need to make? Are you building income, or are you building trust?
Because if integrity really can scale, as this model suggests, well, the honest creator might just have the ultimate competitive advantage. That could change everything.